Today I'm going to cut and tumble polish something that's not a local rock. This is something called Amazonite. I believe this is from South Africa, this lot. Yeah, it's really quite nice. I chipped this one, so that's what it looks like. But I chipped this one and this is what it's like on the inside. Really nice. So yeah, we'll load up with some of these to be cut and polished. Some of these are already tumble size. I'll just have to round them off a bit. Makes it easier. And a few more of them. And a few more. So I haven't tumbled this before. I'm hoping it comes up nice. We'll find out. This is all the Amazonite, ready to be cut up into smaller pieces and tumbled. This is the Amazonite, all cut and shaped, ready for stage one of the tumblers. There's not as many turquoisey ones as I would have liked, but they all still have that metallic sort of reflective streak running through them, so that's good. Wait and see how well they actually tumble. Time for the Amazonite to hit the tumblers. Again, I think I'm only going to use the one large one and 4 small ones, but I'll start filling up and see where we get. I've still got this other big one if I need it. I think we're going to be right with what we've got. Actually, a bit short. Maybe I will just do 3 of these smaller ones and the one big one. I think that's a better idea. And now for filler rock, I'm going to use the offcuts from the saw. The same stuff, Amazonite. Alright, happy with that. I will now add some grit and water and chuck them in the tumbler. Alright, so 3 tablespoons for every 3-pound barrel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the 6-pound, I usually put about 5, maybe 6 in, depending if I'm feeling generous. 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm feeling half generous, so that goes another half. Something I noticed with the Amazonite when I was cutting it is it has a Mohs hardness of apparently 6 to 6.5, which is pretty hard. But what I found when I was cutting it is that it fractures very easily into small pieces. So even though it's a Mohs 6.5 or 6, it's brittle. So I don't know that the Mohs scale takes into account if a rock is brittle. Because it already has fracture lines in there, and as you cut it, it'll follow those fracture lines. So you've got to sort of work around that. Yeah. So it means that you cut your piece of rock and start to shape it, and then a piece will come flying off, and you go, all right, well, that's my new shape then. That's the shape it's going to be. You're sort of stuck with whatever the rock wants to do. But that's fine. It just means some of them are a bit smaller than what they started out as. All right, let's add some water. So again, water just to below the level of the top rocks. That's good. Say when. Yeah, it's good. He's good. None for you. And he's a bit too much, but I'm sure that's fine. Lids will go on. Oh, difficult to do one-handed. Oh, that's a big one. And then the metal lids go on. I'm sure you've seen this before. They all get a washer each. And then a nut screwed on. And then they get a little shake and then put into, these are, what are they? 33As, Lawtone 33As, I think that's what they are. So they're like a 3A, might be 33Bs actually, I don't know. But yeah, they take 2 3-pound barrels. I'll end up putting the empty one here. It's heavy. I don't think that lids are down properly either. He'll go up there. And I'll turn this off because it's become a bit noisy recently. I don't know if it's bearings or something. I'll have to have a look. And switch him on. Something a little bit noisier than it used to be. And then the empty one goes on there, just because it does. And that other one will go on there, and that's it. And then we'll come back and check them in about a week. Actually, might check them earlier because of that, the way it fractured, and it does seem a little bit soft. Even though it comes up as 6 to 6.5 on the Mohs scale, I will check them in a few days, just make sure we're not losing too much. That's it. It's been 7 days since I started the Amazonite tumbling, stage 1. About to open them up and see how they look. Alright, I've popped the tops off. I'm ready to dump them out. Some nice swirly patterns in here. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. Let's tip these out. Oh, they're stuck. I think that means they didn't get... Oh, I see, it's all grotty down there. Now that's interesting. I think it might be something to do with Amazonite itself, because it doesn't really grind down like a normal rock. It sort of becomes very powdery, and I can feel that's done the same as well. Isn't that interesting? This is my first batch of Amazonite, so maybe it's normal. I have to really dig those out with a spoon, I think. What's this one like? Yep, I can feel stuff stuck up there still. That's really odd. What about this big one? Maybe there's more surface area so they won't stick. Oh, they look nice and rounded though. Oh, there's still stuff in there, look at that. That's weird. But, like I say, I think that's the rock itself. I'm going to give them a rinse and try and empty out these barrels a bit more, and we'll see what's going on. Alright, a bit of water has loosened things up a bit. And we'll continue on. That's better. A bit messy. Yep, getting there. Took that in there. There's still some in that one. Boy, what is that? It's like it's reacted with the grit to form a concrete or something. Very unusual. But like I say, I'm liking the shapes. They look like they've rounded off well. It's all a bit of experimentation, I guess. That's better. That's all him. Now this big one gets a bit messy. There's no easy way to do this. They don't really seem to be loosening that much either. I have to stick my hand in there, I think. That's disgusting. Now, I'm really no expert. I imagine it's the type of rock that Amazonite is, and I think it's a feldspar. Feldspar? I think that's what it's called. Sort of a flaky, and it's still stuck there. Sort of a flaky rock that has caused that, but hey, I don't know, might look it up. So they're looking all right. I will rinse them off in fresh water and give them a toothbrush, and we'll see what we've got. So here they are, all rinsed off, ready to go into stage 2 in the Ultra Vibe. I'm very happy with the way that they have shaped, nice and rounded. It's a great stone. It sort of has this metallic veins running through it. You can't really see it here. I'm hoping once they're polished and dry, you'll be able to see how metallic that is. You can see it, but it doesn't really look metallic. Maybe it's just one of those things that you've got to see in person. I don't know. Anyway, so they're going to go into stage 2, and we'll see them when they come out in 2 days. Here we are 2 days later. Amazonite is just about to come out of stage 2 in the Ultra Vibe. Turn him off, have a look inside. Come on. Now I will just quickly explain something. When the rock's going to tumble, there's no water. This water isn't here. It's just the rocks are just wet. So there's no water really. But what I do is just before I take them out, like half an hour before I empty the barrel, I'll fill it with water and run it for half an hour. And that just sort of gives the rocks a bit of a rinse. So what you're seeing here is not really what it's like the whole time it's tumbling. This is just half an hour of rinsing before they get emptied out. I've made another video about tumbling rhyolite, and that goes into much more detail about the process of, you know, filling up how much water and stuff like that. So yeah, let's unscrew this, tip it out, and then see what we're looking at. Alrighty. It's bloody hard to film with one hand and lift this up without spinning it on myself. But we'll get there. Give these guys a quick rinse. I'm actually very happy with how these are turning out, considering how they kind of look flaky when you first cut them, like they're going to break away. They're actually smoothing off very well. You can see that metallic veins running through there. So just quietly, I've got some pretty high hopes for this stuff. But again, time will tell. We'll give them a proper rinse and assess them, but yeah, I'm sure they're going very well. I've just noticed that much like after stage 1 in the rotaries, there's this sludge in here again. It's really, it's really thick. As far as I know, it's just coming from the rocks. It doesn't seem to be the grit. It just seems to be like rock dust, but gee, there's a lot of it. A hell of a lot. Maybe that's normal. I'll have to look it up. When I say normal, I mean for Amazonite. But yeah, I've never seen that before. Not that I've been doing it an awful long time, but yeah, that's pretty weird. Just to clarify what I said earlier about the water level for the UV10. So these have just been rinsed in fresh water and scrubbed with the toothbrush. And right now they're sitting in water, they're standing in water, but you can't go sending that into the vibe as it is. So what you need to do is drain off all the excess water so that the rocks are just covered with a thin layer of water. And the way you do that is, I'll just need to put this camera aside for a second, is this. So now the rocks are just covered with a thin layer of water, and that's all you want. Once you chuck the grit in, the grit will adhere to the water, and therefore just the rocks. So they're not floating around in water, they're just grinding against each other with the grit, which is the next stage. All right, here's the bowl, all screwed down, ready to be loaded up with some grit. And this is the grit we're going to be using, 600 silicon carbide, stage 3. But what I'll be doing is something a little bit different. Normally I would put in 3 tablespoons of this, but the last batch of tumbled rocks I did, chrysocolla, I accidentally overloaded it with this stuff, put in maybe 4.5 tablespoons instead of the 3 that I normally would. So, and that really turned out well. It really turned out nice and glossy, unusual for chrysocolla. So I'm going to do the same this time. Put more than I normally would into the bowl, probably about 1.5 tablespoons, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so let's turn it on. It's going to get noisy. I'm not going to bother talking over this thing. Alright, we'll let that go for 2 days and see what happens. I have no idea if, what was it, 4.5 tablespoons instead of 3 tablespoons of grit is going to make any difference. But that's the good thing about this, you can experiment, and if it doesn't work, then do what you know works best. That's it, see you in 2 days. The Amazonite has been bouncing around for 2 days in stage 3. I fill it up with some water. And then we'll give it a proper rinse out, and then they'll go on to stage 4, the polish stage, for 2 days. Here we are emptying the barrel after stage 3. It's not getting any lighter. What a mess. It's not so bad this time. It's still slime in there. Weird, I don't get it. Let's just be the rock. We'll quickly rinse these off. And rinse them off properly, and then they'll go into final polish. I think they're looking pretty good. Alright, here's our Amazonite all rinsed off and ready to go into stage 4. I got to say, when I was rinsing them, you know, you sort of rub them with your finger and stuff. That one's not bad, but some of them, you can really feel the textures. Usually at this point, that rocks that you're tumbling would be a lot smoother, but some of these just, I don't know, it's like they feel loose. The texture is a bit loose, maybe. I don't know. I've never done Amazonite before, so it's all a bit of experimentation, and I'm just doing it like I would any other rock. So we'll see what happens in 2 days after final polish. And the polish I'm using is the same as always, and that is aluminium oxide, 1 micron. I'll be using 2 big tablespoons, sorry, of this. And that seems to work about right. So I'll turn this noisy one on and I won't bother talking over it. Alright, that'll go for 2 days, then we'll rinse them off and see what the final result is. I don't know if I'm confident or not. I guess 80% confident I'll get some nice glossy rocks. Time will tell. It's been just over a day and the Amazonite is looking a bit gluggy. Not quite as liquid as I'd like, so what I do is I give it a spray, quick spray with water. Just to get it flowing again. And the Amazonite has just finished its rinse after the final polish. I will now rinse them off and scrub them with a toothbrush, then they'll go back into here with some borax. And then we'll give it a very last rinse off. They may need to go through the ultrasonic cleaner. We'll have a look. I expect they will because of the, well, just the makeup of Amazonite. I expect they'll need to go through the ultrasonic, but we'll see. Alright, here we go. Never easy one-handed. Looking pretty good. You never know until final rinse. Dry them off and we'll check them out. Here it is, all rinsed off, sitting in fresh water. We'll give it a couple of hours in borax now. Come back and check it out and decide what we're going to do next. I'll switch him on and get the borax. Okay, they've been rinsing in borax now for just over 2 hours. I will dump them out again and we'll have a look and see what they end up like. Here they are after their borax rinse. I'm going to throw them straight into the ultrasonic cleaners because I'm fairly sure there will be residue caught up in these areas here. So yeah, I'll grab a few, chuck them in, and I expect we're going to see some muck come out once we turn these on. We'll load up the bigger one. Oops. And then start them up, and I'm not even going to bother talking over this because it gets pretty rowdy. Here's start. I can't hear any noise. And we'll start this one. Come on. So here's the completed batch of Amazonite. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but I don't know. I was hoping, maybe I am. I was hoping it would have turned out better, but yeah, it's not too bad. Certainly a different type of rock. The feldspar component really doesn't help any, although it does give it that nice shimmery look. I consider this to be the best out of them. It's nice and solid. It doesn't have all the gaps like the other ones do. Yeah, happy enough with him. Let's have a look at what the other ones are. This one's okay. I'm just trying to see if I can show the shimmer effect that those white lines have on certain light. And they look very silver. This was an odd one. Much more solid colour on one side, like none of that feldspar look to it at all, really. Oh, you can see it shimmering there. Yeah, but overall, pretty average batch, really. But you live and learn. I now know that Amazonite can be a little tricky. Yeah, that's still okay, I guess. Look at that, pretty gross. And these are the good ones. Just, you can't, every now and then you'll get a flash from that, from the white areas, but I don't think the lighting's right here. I might try something different in a minute. Look, they're not ugly, but I was hoping for something a bit better. And yeah, the gloss is fine. I thought it might not gloss very well, but in the end, yeah, it's good. Oh, we get little flashes there, just there, but it's not really what I'm looking for. A little bit of something there, I don't know, common opal maybe mixed in. Last one. This one was giving me lots of flashes before, so to speak. I might lay this flat somewhere and see if I can get it to look like I see it when it flashes. It looks really quite nice. So yeah, if you don't hear from me again, that's it. Otherwise I'll get this one to flash. Alright, I think I've worked out a way to get Amazonite to show us its flash. So I've laid them flat, the rock's flat, and I've got light directly overhead. And I'll just slowly go over the top of them, and this one in the middle at the front is probably the best one to show it. It's starting to happen there. You can see it there. So it's like a reflective silver. The others do it to a certain extent, but some more than others for some reason. So that is Amazonite. A rather tricky rock to polish, as it turns out. But it's all part of the learning experience. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.